Yo, what's up, guys? What's up?
Yo,
Uh, we were supposed to do this on Nerdman's channel, but hey, we're gonna do it over here regardless. Same conversation that we would have probably had on there is gonna happen over here. It's just on a different platform for today. What's good, Nerdman?
uh, I'm good, man. I didn't like honestly. I didn't know that you wanted me to do it on mine.
No, I mean the way you
I would have
the way you
advertised
said
it
it was
and
like
stuff.
the way you said he's like, oh, okay, he's gonna set it up on his channel. I'm just waiting for the link.
Sorry, man.
Hey,
No, because I always think it's better to do it on yours because it's more content for you. Like so that's what I was thinking.
So
Because
how's your day going so far, Nerdman? I know it's
oh man, you know
getting
what? Like
nighttime for you.
I've kind of calmed down a little bit from all the DC kind of news that I've been hearing. Just seeing for
The
what
big
I
shake.
think like DC kind of like tearing itself apart. To be honest, but not in the sense of like wanting to reboot because I've been actually for a reboot. I'm actually fine for that, but in the sense of how it's being done and who's heading it, like that's where my kind of
I mean, look,
but
Gunn. Look,
the
I'll
main
just say
thing
this.
that yeah go 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 go.
With the little things Gunn has been. My hopes for Gunn is up. I mean, he just recently said one of his inspirations is Justice League, the Justice League animated show, and Young Justice is part of his inspiration to build out his universe, which is good things. He's using good references. Now, I'm not saying Gunn's gonna do this, that. What I'm saying is, so far, what he's saying is getting me excited for what I believe he could do. He hasn't shown
Sure.
nothing
So
yet.
he said he's using the animated show.
No,
Yeah.
this stuff is just part of the inspiration. Someone asked him a question.
Because I would have said that, like, I would have liked more him be inspired by the animated films, because the animated show,
Yeah,
as much as I like, like Justice League, the animated show, like, they didn't really give us like introductions to all the characters in their own, like, in their own
yeah.
shows. So, like, they didn't have a Wonder.
They started kind of seasoned, and then they went into the team.
Yeah, I don't want the Justice League
I think
forming like that. I want the Justice League forming once they've had their own kind of films. But I mean, I guess they have now, like with Wonder Woman. All you need is a Green Lantern movie, really, and a Superman movie.
Yes, Hunter, we have heard about it. So, Nerdman, I know you want to give because I haven't heard your opinion on it. I mean, I kind of have an idea of how you feel, but I want to let's get these comments first, and we'll talk about the whole Ray Fisher situation.
That's what we're here to talk about.
Spontaneous tweet that came out of nowhere, random left field, and I want to talk more about this too, because someone else mentioned something, and I was like, yeah, it's kind of weird, but I'll get to it when I bring it up. Superboy said James Gunn is going to make greatness. Heck yeah, Superboy. DC for the win. Psh, Marvel can't compare. DC for the win. I want a thumbs down this stream because of Nerdman, but Chaos is my voice.
Shouts out. Why isn't he on here, man? I don't understand. He doesn't want the heat.
He works in the mornings now.
Oh, but that's just excuses, bro.
I can't wait next month. Yeah. For the slate next month, I just want to know the first 5 movies. That's it. We don't need to know the whole phase 1, the phase 2, the phase 3.
He's only announcing 3 movies, bro. So don't get excited.
That's fine with me too. 3 movies, that's fine. Just let us know. It's Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman. That's it.
It should be Superman, Green Lantern, I think, and probably.
I mean, yeah, Green Lantern for sure.
But wait a second. Wait. One more moment.
But I hope Martian Manhunter is featured in the. That's what I hope. All right, let me bring up Mr. Fisher's tweet. Nerdman, can you see it? Do I need to zoom it in?
I need because I can't see that.
How about now?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right. So, what up,
this guy, man?
So, DeMariah, this was a random tweet. This was random. This was out of nowhere. This was completely left field. We know why he's doing it, but this was so random. Okay. Ray Fisher says the way Ed James Gunn uses fake grace on Twitter is really funny. Him going to bat for Joss Whedon, pseudo apologizing for it, and then deleting it immediately before taking his new DC job is not. Refusing to apologize for toxic behavior seems to be a job requirement for WBDC. Now, we all remember these tweets. Nerdman remembers them. So basically, Ray Fisher had an issue with James Gunn liking a tweet. Now, me personally, I don't care. Look, let's say if I see Nerdman like a tweet about Star Wars The Last Jedi, it would be very dumb of me to go to his DM or put it on blast like, Nerdman, why the heck did you like Star Wars The Last Jedi? I hate you. Like, it's childish. It's weird because, mind you, if we went through everybody's likes on social media, everybody's likes, we all would have to go to a.
How does he even see that he liked it? Because I'm like,
you can see. So when you go to your profile, you can see everybody's likes.
Oh, okay. So he went to James. He had to have gone to James Gunn's profile and then look through it to see that he liked the tweet, or do you think somebody told him that?
Well, people retweeted this first. So this was back in January, 2022. People retweeted this. Other people took screenshots of this, shared it, and then Ray Fisher took the screenshot, then blew it up. Mind you, This is all public. His likes is public. So this is the same for my profile too and your profile. People can literally click our likes on our profile and go to them. Instagram took away this function, and I'm glad they did because look, I don't want everybody to see what I like on these platforms because the reasons
they're toxic. Yeah.
Okay, so he had an issue with James Gunn liking a tweet that's talking about
what are the rest of the things that he's put in there?
James Gunn,
shortly after Alan tweeted this, he apologized for commenting on a situation he knew nothing about. I read what Alan said and I thought, damn, he's right. It was something I knew nothing about. I shouldn't have liked the tweet. So
next, he says thank you at James Gunn. Then the tweet gets deleted. Now I'm not sure if you've seen this, but James Gunn has, and it makes sense why he does this.
But wait a second. So why is he complaining about it if the guy even said he didn't know anything about the situation? I didn't even know that.
No.
So James Gunn already squashed the beef with him.
No. Ray Fisher's mad because the tweet is deleted. He's mad the tweet, this tweet. He's mad this tweet is gone. But James Gunn explained this. Now you go right here.
Yeah, but he doesn't know anything about it. He's already apologized to him. He doesn't need to like keep the tweet up. Anyway.
And then so James Gunn, and we know why. I mean, we saw with the old tweets and stuff and how he got fired from Marvel. So he said, all my older tweets automatically delete after a while. This was said on November 18th, 2022. All right, just making that clear. So we know why he does it. I mean, I don't blame him because we've seen, someone can go to your old tweets and you can lose your job because of your tweets. That's common now. You can lose your job because of your tweets. And mind you, so after this happened, Ray Fisher the next day posted this. Just acting like nothing happened. He didn't apologize to James Gunn, nothing. He just posted something about Rebel Moon and acted like nothing happened. Just moved on. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, personally, I think Ray Fisher, look, I spend time on the internet, but Ray Fisher is one of the individuals that have taken the internet. The internet is literally his life. For him to be butthurt about someone liking another tweet, I understand they like the tweet that goes against, that's harmful towards you or whatever. Okay. But the fact that you are complaining about a tweet being deleted, that James Gunn has explained, auto deletes so he can protect himself. And I think many creators should do this. If you want to protect yourself, he deleted his tweets so he doesn't have to deal with this bullshit. But in Nerdman, this is the craziest thing. How did he know that tweet was deleted?
Right.
That's a tweet from January. He would have had to scroll all the way back to January just to see if that tweet was still up.
Look, Ray Fisher, bro. Look, okay, so let me start like this. Do I like James Gunn? K Dots. Do I like James Gunn?
You don't hate him, but you don't. You think his.
I don't fuck with him.
You think his movies are very.
Yeah, I don't fuck with him. I think the only good movie he's ever made is Guardians of the Galaxy, and I don't even think it's that good. Like, I think it's, it's pretty good. I'm not. It's not like, one of the best comic book movies of all time. It's just pretty good, right? That's my opinion. Others can argue with it, whatever. I don't think he's made a terrible movie either, to be fair. Actually, I do think the Super is highly overrated. This movie, that movie, I
haven't seen
that Super. He did the Superman movie. He did, I think, which was his brother, Brightburn. I thought was terrible, and I was actually excited for that movie because I was kind of curious, like what they were going to do with that.
Have you seen Slither? Have you seen Slither?
I swear to God, and this is nothing to do with Zack Snyder, the only movie I genuinely like of his is Dawn of the Dead, like that he wrote. And I was shocked that he wrote that. I think the main thing about that movie is how it's visually directed that is actually mostly appealing. But he did write that, and sure, I can give him some.
Because he wrote some of it. Okay. So it says he did the screenplay. Just making sure.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know what are James Gunn's movies. Just go through, just quickly go if you could go through them.
Yeah.
Because I genuinely only think Guardians of the Galaxy is the only one that I like that he's directed. And maybe I'm being too harsh on the guy, but I really think that his movies are pretty silly, like for the most part.
I don't disagree with you when you say like, you know, his stuff is kind of like, cause of average. Cause look, I don't hate Guardians 1. I think Guardians 1 is just okay. Guardians 2, I think it's okay too. It made me very emotional.
Yeah, it's all right.
I cried when Yondu died. I did like Slither.
Yeah, that was the only thing that got me was when Yondu died as well. Scooby Doo.
I did like the Scooby Doo movies. Like, you know, I did like
Romeo and Juliet. All of this kind of shit. Look, I get it.
But really, his first big movie that he did was Scooby Doo. His first big movie was Scooby Doo.
Yeah. So, look, you know that I'm not a big James Gunn fan. I think he's okay. I think him coming out against Martin Scorsese saying the shit he did, like to a guy he couldn't even lace his fucking boots, is fucking bullshit. But apart from that, you know, like I'm neither here nor there with him, and I'm actually willing to see where he goes with the DC universe. I'm curious what he will do. I think he'd fit Green Lantern more than Superman, but you know, hell, whatever.
For me, as long as he refrains from the heavy jokes, I think he has the right. I think he has take away the immature jokes and stuff. I think the tone of Guardians, like that tone, that, you know, that light-hearted
cosmic light,
that tone is perfect for Superman. I'm not talking about the over excessive comedy. I don't want the first Superman movie to be a comedy, but that heart and that light-hearted nature of Guardians is what Superman should be as a film. I mean, just like the Christopher Reeve Superman or the Superman Returns, like very light-hearted for Superman. Yes, have his dark moments and stuff and serious moments in the film, but overall it should be a film of light.
Yeah, I still think that Matthew Vaughn, even though I didn't like his pitch for Superman, his Superman trilogy, I still think Matthew Vaughn, who did Kick-Ass, fits it better. Because when you look at like something like
I think
the X-Men First Class and stuff like that. But anyway, that's beside the point.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's talk about our boy Ray Fisher. So when Ray Fisher gets to the point where he's making me have to defend James Gunn against the fucking toxicity of this stupid cult, and it is a cult. You know, I refuse. I stopped calling it a cult a while ago, and now I'm just gonna go, you know, because I didn't want to be like offensive and, you know, to Snyder fans, but I'm just gonna go ahead and call it a cult now. What is the problem with, you know, with firing, for instance, Henry Cavill? Why is he this lauded Superman all of a sudden? It's a complete fabrication of history. And this is coming from someone, I swear to God, I actually liked him. I've told you before, I liked him in the for a brief moment in Zack Snyder's Justice League, but he was trash.
Just to play quick
in Man of Steel.
Just like quick devil's advocate. I would totally understand how they feel about Cavill if, like, let's say if the DC EU was somewhat successful and he got Captain America level screen time up until Civil War. I understand why people would fall so deeply in love, because you've been attached to him for this long and you've seen him enough. We only seen Cavill's Superman for Man of Steel, BVS, where he died, Justice League 2017, where he was kind of a cameo, and Zack Snyder Justice League, where he was still kind of a cameo. Yes, he had a role in it, but he shows up in the second half of the movie.
Yeah, sure. But he was good in that second half. I'm
I'm
not
not saying
like
not saying he was bad. Not saying he was bad, but
yeah.
it's like, it's
But
like
he's not a definitive anything. I don't even like. I really don't understand it. And beyond that, it's so sad and pathetic now. Like, how long were we saying this guy Ray Fisher is full of shit? This guy is just attacking anybody who is seemingly against this Snyder movement, and it's
oh,
nothing to do
I've
with
been saying it.
actually their involvement in anything or actually doing anything against him. He's just a sniper there for like Snyder. Hell, Snyder's doing Rebel Moon and directing this fucking guy, right? So he's in constant contact with him. So he may well have put him up to this. Zack Snyder himself, at least he must agree with him to some extent. Otherwise, he would have been saying to him, "Yo, don't fucking just snipe some random guy like who has nothing to do, like zero, absolutely minus zero to do with anything that happened to that Justice League film or the Snyder Cut." What does James Gunn have to do with that?
It's
like it blows my mind. And then there are people still supporting this Ray Fisher dude. Like we said it a minute ago. This guy has destroyed fucking careers of people who I believe right now, especially given this tweet, are probably innocent of a lot of the accusations he's levied against them.
Especially Jeff Johns. I'd like Joss Whedon.
Especially Jeff Johns.
I'm not trying to make a case for Joss Whedon, but Jeff Johns the most. Like, it's like he went too heavy on Jeff Johns. Like, Jeff Johns of all people.
Yeah, he went heavy on Walter Hamada, Jeff Johns, like anybody who wasn't Josh Whedon, basically. Go.
If it wasn't for Jeff Johns doing the Justice League run he did with New 52 and thinking about putting Cyborg on the team, I'm not saying Zack Snyder probably wouldn't have put him on the team, but nobody wouldn't be having these ideas of putting Cyborg on the Justice League if Jeff Johns did not do that New 52 run and put him on the team.
Dude, let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it a fucking buck. Let's keep it a fucking buck. I know that I like Zack Snyder's Justice League, and I think there's some unique original things in it. But that is basically an adaptation of Jeff Johns' New 52 run of Justice League.
Yeah, it's a lot of New 52 inspiration.
That's straight up facts. From Cyborg to the fact that they're fighting Darkseid, the team formed to fight Darkseid. All of that shit is Jeff Johns inspired. You cannot tell me differently.
Darko, we don't know yet. We'll know when the conversation starts to go down a bit. Go ahead.
Sorry, I want to respond to this. I don't mind Cavill, but to be quite frank, any superhero to me is bigger than an actor. And if you are a Superman fan and someone says, "Hey, I'm going to make a young Superman movie," or like year two, kind of like I'm kind of inspired by the Batman movie, basically by Matt Reeves. I'm all in, bro. I'm all into that. Now, unfortunately, it's being done by James Gunn. I'm not the biggest fan of him, but if he's capable of writing Dawn of the Dead, then maybe he's capable of switching gears a bit from all of the stupid comedy shit, right? So, the other thing that really bothers me about him is that he doesn't make good villains, and Superman's got really dope villains, and I want to see them done justice. But apart from that, I'm semi on board and seeing what he wants to get done. Other thing that aggravates me is he doesn't seem to have Wonder Woman in his plans, and I think that's bullshit.
They're Wonder Woman's in the plans.
Okay, well, if Wonder Woman's in the plans,
whatever, because
then it should be a solo film for her as well. But anyway, go on.
Because remember, David Zaslav said, he had to approve the plan. If Wonder Woman was not part of the plan, he's not. So, regardless, we don't know what their plan is yet, but I guarantee you Wonder Woman is part of the plan because David Zaslav wanted Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman mainly prioritized. And I think they
and they
do it
should
all in
be, and they
2026.
should
But
be, and he
they're
needs
she's part of the plan for sure.
if he wants me to take him seriously. Okay, if he hasn't fired the Shazam guy, I'm okay with this. But if he's getting rid of Shazam, getting rid of Gal Gadot, getting rid of all these people, I think he's not getting rid of Gal. I'm getting new things every day, so
Well,
I don't know if he's got rid of Gal Gadot or not.
We
But
don't
I
know.
think he should. If you're going to get a new Superman, get rid of Gal Gadot and get a new Wonder Woman, and start a trilogy fresh.
So Ben Affleck, so as he said, he talked to Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck wants to direct something. So he's out. He's done his Batman. If he wants to just direct, he's done his Batman. We see him try to direct and act with the Batman movie, and we saw what happened. He's just going to want to direct. He's not going to direct his own Batman. He's going to be solely a director now. He's done being Batman. Okay. Wonder Woman, you're definitely getting recasted. I guarantee you this. These old actors are going to be reused because he did say they will work again in the future. Like Henry Cavill, who knows?
That's good. That's a good plan because
I think for all we know, who knows?
I know. I think what he's planning, if he's smart, is to do some kind of multiverse thing, right? Where he uses them in a kind of multiverse capacity as like, oh, so this Superman, our new Superman meets Henry Cavill, and our new Wonder Woman meets Gal Gadot, that kind of thing. If that's what I would do, because
our Coke was naming video,
because really you're making DC and Warner Brothers look bad, and actors aren't going to want to work with you if you announce a fucking Superman, get the actor to announce he's Superman, leave his fucking day job, which was what was it called?
Witcher.
Leave that, and then you fire him a month later. That's bad, bro. That's bad business. Like forget all the Snyder hate and all of that kind of toxic bullshit. That is bad business. So I hope that he has those actors in his future plans, because if he doesn't, it's going to look bad out here for him.
But see,
and Warner Brothers.
And like, okay, from looking from the outside in, to me, yes, it can look bad, but you remember the people they mentioned, Pamela Abdi and the other guy that was in place, that was still greenlighting movies and stuff before they had DC Studios. So Zaslav and Gunn and Peter did not become CEOs until November 1st. Black Adam came out before that. My issue with
so they should have told him. They should have told him, don't go out announcing that shit.
Yeah,
we don't know yet.
Yeah, that's why. This is the thing.
Walter, as I said, I don't care if he's rebooted. I don't care if they change him, but don't get them to announce it. Put it at the end of a movie in a fucking. This is coming from someone, like, honestly, I would have done, if it weren't for Zack Snyder's Justice League, I would have done a backflip after hearing Henry Cavill was announced to be fired from Superman. I would have literally done a backflip. I would have been high-fiving people on the streets. Do you know what I'm saying? That's how much I didn't like him as Superman. And he didn't win me over like crazily in Zack Snyder's Justice League. I was just like, okay, I can see him doing a couple of movies. He's good enough. Now, the thing that I'm saying, like, giving you that, why I'm giving you that background, is to show you that I'm saying this is purely, what I'm saying is from a business perspective. You cannot put a teaser like that after Black Adam, get a guy to announce he's becoming Superman, and then fire him within a month, and that not make your studio look absolutely batshit insane.
Well,
to actors and professionals.
Right. And see, that's why Walter Hamada, and look, I was not having huge issues with him before, but they didn't want to do nothing with Superman until Crisis, which is not going to happen now. The Rock had to go over Walter Hamada, who was the president of DC, to go to talk to somebody else, which is the Pamela, the other people that was greenlighting movies. He had to go over Walter to talk to these other people. Now, those people had to get permission from probably David Zaslav or somebody else to allow Henry Cavill to come back. They brought him back. So the manager, The Rock, the Pamela Abdi, and those two that still wanted to continue the Snyderverse that greenlit it, and David Zaslav does have some blame. David Zaslav especially should have like said no, because he didn't even see the plans yet until December. And mind you, Gunn and Peter did not get inducted until November. What this is what, and I feel bad for Cavill. I'll say I feel bad for Cavill. The Rock and his manager should have guaranteed that they had an ironclad contract to where, you know, James Gunn couldn't just get rid of him. Like they should have had something guaranteed, because they screwed over Cavill. You know, and mind you, shit happens, things change, but it's like you guys set him up for failure. Like he was genuinely excited to announce that he's back as Superman. He was genuinely excited. You know, and I don't blame it on Gunn. I blame it on the Rock has some blame. Pamela Abdi, Zaslav even has blame too for not stopping all that shit. He should have stopped it. Zaslav should have totally stopped that. He should have stepped in and said no. Like don't get these people hopes up. And also, then this is towards some of the Snyder fans. You guys should have. I'm not saying just go throw money at a movie. I don't fully believe in that. But if you want the studios to pay attention, then this is what the MCU does. They go by the money. You give, if Black Panther Wakanda Forever made $2 billion, they're gonna be like, man, fuck these haters. We don't listen to nothing they say. They're idiots. These people want to see more of this. Let's continue it.
Yeah,
they don't. They go by the money.
Well, Warner Brothers hasn't gone by the money.
Yeah, they don't go by the money. Probably this Zaslav's, you know, he's kind of cheap, but he's a little money hungry. He's probably the type of dude that goes by the money.
Yeah, I would have thought he would, but I don't know. It's just a mess. It's just a mess. It's like I want to finish off with this Ray Fisher stuff.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because you know, him going after this guy, as I said, is absolutely revealing of his motivations from the jump. And he's I think if I were to put a percentage on it, I think he's 40% responsible for everything that's going to happen with Warner Brothers and DC, you know, in terms of it failing. He's got like 40% of like the blame is on him, because quite frankly, you can say what you want, whether you would have liked it, disliked it or not. I think Warner Brothers, when they announced Zack Snyder's Justice League, when was it? Like 2 years ago or something? But
they announced it in 2020. It came out 2021.
Yeah, and I was basically like, I didn't want Zack Snyder back. I was basically in your camp, you know, in a lot.
I mean, you wanted to see the movie. I mean, I really
wanted to see. I wanted to see the movie, but I wanted the movie to come out after Wonder Woman 84, after the Batman, after all of that kind of stuff. That was what I wanted. I wanted them to forge ahead with their future plans and then bring out the movie, but so that people would get attached to these movies,
to the plan, to the current.
Yeah. But you know, fair enough. When they said they were going to release it, I was like, yeah, well, I want to watch that shit. I didn't think it was going to be good.
The movie only came because, and mind you, HBO Max is the big reason why it only came out, because AT&T wanted content for HBO Max that it didn't have yet. They didn't have like no new original content to just get ready. So, you know, mind you, HBO Max is a huge reason why they came out. If they never went ahead with HBO Max, we probably would have never saw that cut.
Yeah,
probably.
But I am telling you now, if and this is why the Snyder fans shot themselves in the foot. If when they released the Snyder Cut, Warner Brothers was met with appreciation. Like, oh, you're actually putting 70 million in to finish the film. I know you messed up by like not releasing it in the first place, but at least you're doing good by us now and releasing the film. If it was met with that kind of goodwill and positivity, I believe firmly in my heart that they would have continued the Snyderverse. They would have, even if it was like, just like Justice League 2 and 3.
Yeah.
I believe they would have done that. Because I believe the film was successful. But it wasn't successful enough to deal with all the bullshit and toxicity, at least for the what do you call it, the executives and stuff.
Right.
So it wasn't successful enough for them to deal with all that toxicity and bullshit. And they were like, fuck it. When, we're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't. Right. So that is what happened. I specifically remember Jason Keelar tweeting out like very soon after, they were releasing the Snyder Cut.
Yep.
Somebody asked, "Oh, are you going to release the Ayer cut as well?" And he was like, "Hey, you never know." Like that was like during that 1-2 days of like positivity, and then all hell broke loose when Ray Fisher came out and did his shit. Yeah. Oh, they were really horrible to me and racist, but I'll tell you later.
Wait.
Like for months and months and months, we're like, so what the fuck happened, dude? And it was all of that shit. Like
he kept pulling the hey guys, here's a soundbite of information. Come back next week for more information. Tune in. He was doing that shit, which was annoying me and pissing me off.
Yeah.
But mind you, I think I told you this. My biggest issue with how he came out, and mind you, motivation to me always matters. Motivation does matter heavily behind what you're doing because it helps me understand why you're doing it. I understand some people take a while to come speak up about abuse and stuff or in some way, but it's like this guy waited 4 years to wait until Entertainment gets announced. Mind you, he didn't know if this was going to get released or not. He didn't know. No one really knew.
That's how I know he's fucking the bullshitter, because he waited till they announced that it was going to get released, because he knew if he had have started that shit before it was released or before they announced the release, they would have never released the Snyder Cut, because they would have been like, nah, this is just toxic bullshit and we want to get rid of it. That's why he waited till after.
Waited until it was guaranteed. And that's my thing about it. It's like, so wait a minute. You was abused. Well, I'll say verbally abused. Let's say verbally. He wasn't physically. I don't know if it's but verbally. Let's say he was abused. You waited until a movie came out to finally speak up, and your whole movement is about A over E, accountability over entertainment. But you couldn't speak. You can only speak up when Entertainment came out. And then these people that you hate, Warner Brothers, you're still funding their pockets by supporting the Snyder Cut. Now, I don't hate Warner Brothers. I know Ray Fisher fucking hates Warner Brothers, and he's still supporting them by supporting the movie, which is like, it ain't productive. It kind of counters what you're trying to do. And look, I understand some people take a while to finally speak up for themselves and say something, but the way Ray Fisher did it was so weird. I'll give a prime example why I say motivations matter. I'm not sure if you're following the recent case, but the Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez case, the shooting where Megan Thee Stallion got shot in the foot. Now,
I don't know anything about it. Sounds interesting though.
You should actually check it out. It's pretty interesting. Well, you probably know what they look like. Let me show you what they look like. So you can.
I don't even know who Megan Thee Stallion is. Is she a rapper? Or?
Yeah, you know who she is.
No, I really don't. Dude, I'm old up in here, man. I'm old up in this house, bro. I don't know all this new shit.
There's a case going on where the man on the right supposedly shot her in the foot. Now, the reason she didn't snitch on him first. She didn't snitch to police about who shot her or not. So she says the reason she waited the reason she didn't snitch was because this was back in 2020, Black Lives Matter, George Floyd and all that, and she was scared to tell the police that they had a gun in the car, right? But mind you, someone shot you with a gun and you're defending the person who shot you with a gun. I would be totally behind you if your motivations made sense, or they seem like, it's not say that it didn't happen. She did get shot in the foot, but you're telling me you got shot in the foot and you're backing up somebody who shot you and who almost took your life.
Well, look, I'm not going to say I completely understand her motivation there.
Yeah, you have to look at it.
I think
it's the reason she didn't tell.
She felt maybe very strongly about the Black Lives Matter, or about the George Floyd incident, and maybe was like, I don't want to be adding to a chorus of this kind of idea of the violent black male, but like, if someone shoots you in the foot, you need to call the police and
right. And mind you, she waited and she waited a little bit, and I understand that's a traumatic moment, but it's like, that's not a good reason to wait on something and not say something.
I don't want to blame her though, man. Let's not.
I'm not blaming her. I'm not blaming her. I'm just saying that your motivations matter.
Unless he didn't do it. Is he saying he didn't do it?
So the state took him to trial. His defense team is making the prosecution look dumb. That's all I gotta say. They're making the prosecution look dumb. She's not on trial. She's a witness in the case, but the state took him to court. The prosecution looked dumb. He looks like he's going to get off. There should be a verdict today or tomorrow, but he's going to more than likely get off. But like I said, motivation matters. Motivations and your intentions matter to me. And Ray Fisher's intentions, I would totally stand by Ray Fisher if he did this during the Just League 2017 tour.
Yeah, promotional tour.
Like, remember when he was on stage and he lied to all of us and said, "Yeah, Joss Whedon is such a great person to continue Justice League." You should have said it then and there. I would have totally been like, "Whoa, he's really standing on this right now. He's really standing on something." Yeah, mind you, he probably, but still, he should have done it back in 2017, not now. That's my problem with it. He should have done it then, not now. Because then I'm just like, I don't care no more. You waited. You waited too long and you held in information.
No, but I don't even think he should have. Like, for me, it should have been once Justice League came out.
Yes.
Right. And he had some time to think about his experience for like 6 months. If he had done it in 6 months and just said, look, this guy is abusive and he abuses his power and he's doing all of these kind of shady shit, like if he had said it 6 months after, then I would have respected it, because that way he would have been protecting other people from this supposedly abusive person. And I also don't understand why he brought in every single executive under the sun into his abuse allegations, which had nothing to do with them. I mean, like, literally the meeting he talked about with Jeff Johns, if you read it, even from his perspective, I'm still on fucking Jeff Johns' side. Even when I read it from his, like, Ray Fisher's perspective, I'm like, wait a second, the guy called you into his office, said, hey, I've always considered you as a friend. And you were just like, he knew I wasn't his friend. Okay, that's very nice of you to, nice way to work with your colleague or whatever. And then, he proceeded to tell him, like, hey, man, if you go over people's heads and like do all these complaints and whatever, without coming to like the person first, the producers, then people in Hollywood, it's not a good look. Like people in Hollywood are gonna, say that you're whatever. It wasn't
it's just
threat.
like and it's just like, man, it's just like like let's take the job aspect out of it, like take it on a personal level. Let's say you, Nerdman, had an issue with okay, let's say LB.
No, I'll tell you. I'll tell you exactly what it's like. I'll tell you
Let's
exactly like I'm a teacher, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
If I had a problem with a colleague, which I did recently,
right,
and instead of going to um my manager, like the
right, to the
woman who's the
principal,
manager,
to
like straight away, like
yeah,
say, like obviously if she dismisses what I'm saying, then I'd have to take it higher. But if I, before she even said anything or had intervened, if I went right to the CEO of sorry, the owner of the company, because it's a private school, if I went right to her and then I emailed the parents as well and said, oh, our classes aren't working, like, because like, how bad does that make you look? Do you know what I mean? That's going to make, like I'm telling like the parents, and I'm telling like the manager of, or sorry, the owner of the school,
in doing so, you're going to make you're going to ruin a relationship with this person that you probably could have fixed if you talked to him first instead of going here. Now, if that person, like you said, is like totally not, not trying to work things out, and you got to go over to somebody else, I totally understand. But if you don't even put in an effort to make things work, then it's not going to be, it's not going to work out for either you in the end, because you're going to create bad blood for no reason.
Yeah, and it's a growing trend, I think. And I never want to say this because I know that there's racism out there. I really do, and it's I've seen it, and it's fucking ugly, and it's getting more and more, especially with the internet and these these people able to find each other, crawling out from under their fucking shells, or rocks, or wherever the fuck their slime that they ooze out of. So I know it's there, and I don't want to just dismiss like any black person's accusations like that, but or any like an Asian person or anybody else, gay person who feels that they're being discriminated against. But that being said, I think there is a growing trend of certain black people to just see racism everywhere. Sometimes I'm not saying it's all of them. I think that it's just, and it's not just black people as well, and it's everyone wanting to see a fence. I see it with white males as well, wanting to see like something is just offending them in like a particular thing, like, oh, it's going after white guys. Is it really? Or is it just somebody like creating something? And do you know what I mean? It's like there's just this growing trend of sensitivity. I think it may, to be honest, it's with a younger generation, just a growing thing of sensitivity towards every fucking thing. Like everything's out to get you.
And even prime example, got somebody at my job, right? They are, I guess that they consider themselves transsexual, but they haven't even like done all the surgery and stuff. It's still basically a dude with a mustache and all that shit. Okay, so I remember one day I went inside this little area and I saw somebody talking to this individual, and there was two people in the room. There was two people in the room, including me, so three of us. And he said, "All right, guys, I'm heading out." This person got offended by hearing guys, but mind you, this person wasn't meaning like you're a guy specifically. He was talking about all of us in the room, like, "Hey guys, we're heading out." But this person took it as an offense.
Right.
It's like, no, he's not calling you a guy. He's just saying in plural, "Hey guys, I'm heading out." Now, if he walked up to you and said, you know, didn't say the pronouns that you want to go by. I totally understand that, but you know,
Yeah.
and there's been some cases where people have got their pronouns wrong, and the first thing this individual did was just totally lash out. Was like, I mean,
Yeah.
talk to him first, explain it to him. If they are acting ignorant about it after, then if you have the right to be angry, if they're being ignorant about it and totally just not trying to understand, but talk to them. Don't just get mad at them and lash out and stuff, because you're going to burn bridges that you don't need to burn. That's the thing. People want to just burn bridges now and just like not even try to talk it out. Like, stop trying to just talk it out. Talk. Eat.
Mm.
Now look, if somebody walked up to, I'm use me for example. If someone walked up to me and said, "Hey, you dirty ER," okay, now I may not be as willing to talk. It
Right.
depends. It depends. Like, there's some people that can be, yeah, I've heard of that. Heard those people that are like indirectly that are being racist, but they don't know they're being racist.
Mm.
Those are
No,
definitely
I know,
those are
I
definitely
know.
people you have to like.
And I
Those
mean,
definitely
bringing
people you
it
should
back to
talk
Ray Fisher, I mean, the fact that he even mentioned in his article, this long article,
to.
that
Yeah.
he asked me to play Cyborg like
What's
Quasimodo.
up, Natasha? And Cyborg's Quasimodo.
Like he asked me, like, how's that racist?
Yeah.
Like the fact that he even thinks about that, like it's just like that's just a director's note, dude. Like I don't understand. It takes a level of sensitivity. Either that, or you want to be offended by that person,
Right.
right? You want beef
Or
with that
you're
person
just looking for a reason
because
to be
you're
angry,
looking for a reason to be
just
angry
to
at
be
that
angry for the
person.
sake of it. And I
You
think
know,
genuinely, I think genuinely, there is people that, prime example, right? Um, I'm gonna use Superman and Batman for this best example. A lot of people appeal to Batman more because we know, they kind of relate to the that pain a little bit more. A lot of people are kind of sour, kind of depressing and all that stuff. Now, when they see someone like Superman who invokes so much positivity and a ray of sunshine, it's like, dang, why does he have something that I want? I want to be that. So some people just there's some people that just literally enjoy being in misery, that they want everybody else to be on their same level. I'm
miserable
not
as
I'm not
well.
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm not saying Ray Fisher is in some kind of misery, but it's like, dude, you just want everybody to be like,
He's
like
just angry. He's
as
angry, and he doesn't
angry as
know.
you. Yeah.
Like it's silly now. It's getting silly. And I feel bad for. It's not even I, because the DC fans did it to themselves. Like again, if you wanted movies, because I don't know what they want. Do they just want Zack Snyder to direct? Like these Snyder fans, is that like I
They,
guess that's it,
I,
or do they
they
actually want
want Zack
the
Snyder to
movie's
doing what
tone to
James Gunn's
be? Because I would understand if they are like, I want DC movies to be distinct from Marvel. I don't want them to be joke
doing.
factories. I want them to have a kind of tone and sophistication, to them, right? Like I don't want it to be like Disneyfied. I understand that impulse. In fact, I go along with that impulse. So that's why when something like the Batman comes out, you should support that movie because it is a good movie. And I think people, when they're really being fucking honest with themselves, know it's a good movie. At least the majority of people.
Yeah.
But I see Snyder fans attacking that. And it's like, but even Snyder said this is his kind of movie.
Well, have
You
you?
know what I'm saying? So,
I think
and
I think another contributing factor to this. Have you seen how some people have been how some people have been talking about the next year's DC movies that are kind of like the end of it? How I seen there's literally been people saying, "Well, what's the point in watching these movies? They don't go nowhere after this." Like, that's what people have been saying, but it's like you can still watch Shazam 2 and not you can still watch Shazam 2 not knowing there's a sequel coming. You can still watch all, and I think this whole franchise, franchises being as big as they are in the cinematic universe thing has affected people's mind to where they can't watch a lot of stuff without not knowing if there's going to be a sequel or not.
Oh, I hate.
Because how could you not watch Shazam 2? You don't want to watch Shazam 2 because there's not going to be no sequel after. When people watch the first Star Wars movie, they didn't know there was going to be a sequel. When people watched the first Terminator movie, we didn't know it was going to be a sequel, but a sequel did end up coming, and you watched it. No movie is made with a sequel in mind now. A lot of movies, and this is one of the issues with movies today, and this is how these trash movies get guaranteed sequels. Venom 1 came out. Venom 1 was guaranteed a sequel because the way studios run nowadays, they greenlight sequels before movies even come out. They even greenlight TV shows.
No, but it also made $800 million. That's quite good.
We do, even if let's say it did 500 million, it still would have been guaranteed a sequel regardless of anything. Because
I don't think so. I think if it had a bombed, I don't think they would have done a sequel. But like 500 million, yeah, probably, yeah. I love Rogue's comments here. Like I have never said, look, I don't like James Gunn's movies. That's all I've said. I've never said I don't like him. I never said anything about why he was fired or anything like that. I just say I don't like his fucking movies that much. I think Guardians is okay at best. I think it's gassed up like as if it's some kind of comic book masterpiece these days, and it isn't. It's just like I like the soundtrack basically.
Professor Darko. People have been condemned, and it's one of my issues with Frank.
Oh, mainly. By the way, I got distracted because you were right. Yes, that was a very good point you made. By the way, so carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, and I'm not just blaming the MCU, but they're a big part of it. A lot of franchises are a big part of it. Every film that comes out, that's why Matt Reeves said it best. When he made the Batman, he had to make the Batman as if this was his one shot. That's how every first movie should be made, as if it's your one shot. You shouldn't know if you're a guaranteed sequel, because if that's the case, a lot of these people would do some stuff like, well, I can just do this and I can just explain it in the next movie.
Later. Yeah.
I can just do this and then explain it for you later.
In the next movie. Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's what I loved about your point is that that's a primary reason MCU fans bash DC films, because I've always said like the DC films, I'd say 60% of them are pretty good.
The case fire.
60% of them have been pretty good, which is about the same hit rate as the MCU.
Yeah.
To be fair. Now, one of the I remember even talking to Pickle, and maybe it was Ashley, like about Zack Snyder's Justice League. Ashley liked Zack Snyder's Justice League, right? And Pickle obviously doesn't. Now, I was sitting through their criticisms, and it kept coming up like, oh, because it's not leading anywhere, or this contradicts some other movie, and I'm like, but how does it contradict itself within this movie? What is bad in this movie? And I'm sure you can. I'm not trying to say that, but that's what a lot of people. It's because they've been conditioned by this kind of big universe building thing to not actually look at the movie as the movie itself. Not is it going to have a sequel, or or why isn't Wonder Woman flying in Zack Snyder's Justice League when she flew in Wonder Woman 84? It's like Wonder Woman 84 was made after Zack Snyder's Justice League. Why would she fly? Do you know what I mean? It is the fault of how Warner Brothers ordered their movies.
So that's real true. Quick, just so people don't think I'm like just making up what people are saying. There's literally people on Twitter saying this type of stuff. Like, so Aquaman 2, Shazam 2, Flash are completely pointless watch. Flash is definitely not pointless watch. This is the very first live action Flash movie.
Yeah, definitely. If you like Flash, you should go out and watch the movie. If you like Shazam, you should go out and watch the movie, because they won't make more Flash and Shazam movies if those movies don't do well. That's what they think. That's how they think. They don't think oh, it's because the universe is ending and people think it's pointless. They think people aren't into Flash or people aren't into Shazam. That's what they think. They don't think, oh, if this one bombs, then we'll reboot it and do it better, so that it's more appealing to the fans later. No, they don't think like that. So a good film, by the way, I'm sorry, a good film will stand on its own while laying seeds for anything upcoming. DC mismanaged that by being always for sale and having a rotating cast of individuals in charge. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah, and like I said, I don't disagree. It just bothers me that in this new crowd of people, these new generation, which I'm a part of, but even I'm like, you guys should be able to watch movies for what they are. Forrest Gump literally has no sequel. I wish Forrest Gump would have a sequel about him and his son, or something. I wish. I'm not saying it needs to, but Forrest Gump by itself is fine. Amazing movie. Always makes me cry every time I watch it. That movie was made
it's a great
as if
movie.
that Forrest Gump was made as if there was never going to be a sequel guaranteed. Is made
Yeah,
as someone who's like,
you,
okay, this is my one shot to make this movie. I'm gonna make
yeah.
this movie,
Robert
and I'm gonna
Zemeckis is
great.
he's brilliant. He did Who Shot Roger Rabbit, as well, right?
Oh no, I didn't know.
It's Robert Zemeckis. He's a fantastic filmmaker. I'm trying to think of what the other film. There's one other film I love of his, but anyway, I'll think of it later. But yeah, no, I was going to say an aside about Forrest Gump, because there's a lot of people. It was nominated in the same year as Pulp Fiction,
Oh yeah, so
and
wasn't much people mad. Wasn't people.
and what's it called? Pulp Fiction and this other movie. Shit. The prison movie. The prison movie with Morgan Freeman.
Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank Redemption. Yeah, it was nominated in that. I think both of those movies are pretty good, like Pulp Fiction and Shawshank Redemption. I think I especially like Pulp Fiction, but everyone goes off about how these days that the Academy robbed Shawshank Redemption and Pulp Fiction by letting Forrest Gump win. And I'm like, get the fuck out. For me, Forrest Gump I love Forrest Gump. I think it's really, really good filmmaking.
Forrest Gump, like I say, when if
any
a
of
movie
them could have won and I'd be happy,
if
but like Forrest Gump was good.
if a movie can make you really invoke emotions out of you, that movie is doing something to you that a lot of movies cannot do. That movie literally makes me cry. I don't cry a lot when I watch movies, but that movie makes every time I watch it, every time I go back to and it's a specific scene. Never mind, it's a specific scene that is so beautiful in that movie when Forrest finds out about his son. I always cry when I go back to that scene. His reaction to seeing his son for the first time, Jenny telling him he didn't do nothing wrong, like it's not your fault, blah blah blah. Like that shit is beautiful. And he goes to sit down with his son and they're watching Sesame Street together. That shit is beautiful. It's a beautiful freaking movie. No, that's a powerful movie. I'm sorry, it's a powerful movie.
Dude, yeah, Robert Zemeckis is a fucking genius. Like he doesn't get enough credit. He's kind of like Steven Spielberg, but like he's not as famous for some reason. I don't understand it, because like listen to this guy's movies. Back to the Future, Forrest Gump, Back to the Future 2, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Flight with Denzel Washington.
Yeah, that was the movie when he was on trial for crashing plane, right?
Yeah. That's Robert Zemeckis as well. Contact. I don't know if you've seen that movie, but it's fucking great, with where the alien signal comes through to Earth. So yeah, he's just got some great movies, man. Robert Zemeckis is a legend out in here, and then you got Forrest Gump.
Let me reply to LB's comment real quick. Well, okay, yeah. LB, I don't disagree. You are correct. Like most movies are made with the intentions of the sequels. But let's say randomly Infinity War was just released out of nowhere. They had no 10-year build up or blah blah blah. I would still go watch it. I don't give a fuck. Like I would even say it's pointless. It depends on the situation, but let's say Infinity War just randomly dropped. No MCU was ever made, and the Marvel randomly dropped a movie where the Avengers, for the first time we see them fighting Thanos. I'm watching that. I don't give a fuck. I don't care what built it up. I'm watching it.
Do you know what?
Intended to a lot of stuff is intended to have a sequel, but I still think I can still go watch a movie, even if I think it's going to be pointless. Like I didn't go watch it, but Morbius. I think Morbius is pointless. But hey, I'm not watching it for other reasons because I think the movie is shit. I know
no, that movie's terrible. But like but I'm not a fan of Morbius, so I was never a fan of Morbius as a character, so I didn't care. But I went to see it in the cinemas. But for me, any character that I love or any filmmaker, like the tone of the film that I love, I will always go and support that, and I'll go and see it multiple times in cinemas. The reason for that is quite simple. They won't make others if you don't, like, it's not like Marvel or the MCU where they give these films another chance. They give Ant-Man another chance. They give, like DC especially has a really, like, they still haven't made another Green Lantern movie after the Green Lantern failed. Still to this fucking day, they haven't made another Green Lantern movie.
They got scared when they saw the money. They was like, oh my gosh. They got scared.
Exactly, because they're like, oh, nobody is interested in Green Lantern. No, the movie was trash, bro. That's why. So nowadays, like, if I had known back then how they think, like, oh, even Batman and Robin tanked the Batman franchise for years. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like the only character in DC that is safe, right, is Batman. Any other character that you like, do not think by not going, you're telling to their movie, you're telling them that, oh, you don't like the direction of the movie. You're telling them you don't like the character. That's how they see it.
Yeah.
So if you don't go and see the Flash movie, you ain't seeing another Flash movie for the next 20 years. Period. If you don't go and see Shazam, you ain't seeing another Shazam movie for the next 20 years. Maybe ever. So you better buck up your ideas, guys. Like, DC will get sold. The rights of these films will get sold, and you won't even be able to have a complete Justice League.
What up, Mike?
What?
And real quick, LB, I don't disagree. Like, if Infinity War released as a standalone and it was just random and it just came out of nowhere, I would still watch it. But still, it probably wouldn't even work because there's a bunch of emotional stuff that only works because it's been built up for like 10 years. But still, even if it didn't have that 10-year build up, I would still go watch it. Because like I say, every film that is made didn't have to be made. No one had to make cinemas. Nobody had to make the very first movie in cinemas. Nobody had to make that stuff. All that stuff is like, it's just people just make it. It's not mandatory. It's just
if for some reason I'm right. I hope I'm not. And James Gunn doesn't make a great Superman movie. I'm still going to see that Superman movie multiple times because I want them to know that Superman is a commodity that people want to consume.
Why do you say James Gunn? James Gunn's only writing the movie. The director.
No, I'm just saying. I like whatever. I don't. It could be good. It could be bad. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm just saying.
Do you think outside the humor aside, whether you, there's some, like, especially in Peacemaker, there's like dick and fart jokes or whatever, and that's fine. That's not my sort of thing. But I didn't mind because it fit the characters. Now, if you have Superman making a dick and fart joke, then I understand what you're saying. But don't you think that James Gunn at least has the potential talent to write a heartwarming, a Superman story that is what we want? Not this.
I don't know. Going off his track record, probably not.
Well, like Guardians,
he could adapt good comics.
But Guardians of the Galaxy had a movie with a talking tree and a raccoon, and people regard that because that was the movie that made Marvel rethink their policy of directors just being hired hands. He actually had some
they
sort of
still are
input.
just hired hands. I mean, like most of them are
for
still
certain,
like
for certain people. For certain people.
For a few, there have been like more director
you have to earn
driven,
it,
but most of the time it's still hired hands. Like, let's be real.
And
but no, I hear what you're saying, Mike. Though, and I'm also glad to speak to you again. It's been a long time.
Well, yeah, like for me, like I said, I'm more than excited for what James Gunn's going to do. It's just that for me, this is my only fear with James Gunn and his DC stuff is that every superhero project he has done since he started doing superhero stuff, except for Brightburn, but he really didn't direct that.
He didn't write it. I don't even know if he wrote that.
He produced it.
He produced it.
But his brother, I think his brothers wrote it.
He has directed nothing but superhero comedies. Now, I thought some of them was good. I like Peacemaker. I like The Suicide Squad. This is the only thing. I just don't want the comedy to bleed over in everything that he does. I want him to show some diversity. I'm not against him doing some comedy stuff in the DC. Like Plastic Man, that's your comic. That's your comedy character. Lobo, that's your comedy character. You still make him badass as shit. But Lobo, that's a comedy character. He's literally Deadpool for DC.
Honestly, look. As much as I don't like James Gunn, right? I still, and I don't want a James Gunn, a James Gunn toned Green Lantern. But even still, I think Green Lantern is just so much. I could see his style working with Green Lantern, for instance, or a Green Lantern, like corpse kind of thing. Because there's weird characters, little animal creatures, and all of that stuff that he likes.
He should definitely direct that movie.
So that's the issue with it. It's like I don't even think why is he doing Superman if he was so
no, but again, he's just writing it. Everybody's acting as if he's going to be doing every single thing.
You think if he writes it, he's not going to want to direct it? Come on, bro.
No, he already said he wasn't.
He didn't say he wasn't. He says he doesn't know yet.
No. He's looking for a director.
Yeah.
And look.
He said that? That must have been recent because the last I heard, he said he doesn't want to.
No, but why? Okay, let's assume
he doesn't know.
Let's pretend he's going to do super. Do you think he's going to direct every single thing? Like Nerdman, one of the things that DC has been floundering for the longest time is without leadership. Because every time, like I put in my comment, every time somebody comes in, they're like, okay, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And these things, you don't just like throw them in a microwave, hit 30 seconds, and then they pop out. They take time to develop. And these people aren't there that long to develop these properties, these projects and stuff like that. So what happens is the fans get jerked around. And they're like, well, you said you were going to give us this and you were going to do that. And they don't because they're the town.
They can't announce anything as well because they don't know when the next thing's going to be sold and whatever. But I agree with all of that. I just don't think James Gunn was really the right fit and the right guy. But fair enough.
Would you rather have James Gunn in charge or Taika Waititi?
I wouldn't want any of them in charge. I think that's equally bad.
Hey, if Taika Waititi did run DC, I'm jumping over to Mark. No way, fuck that. I'm jumping to Amazon. There's gonna be an Amazon The Boys fan. I'm leaving.
No,
if Taika Waititi got picked, I'm leaving.
He's just trying to do something which DC had, and hopefully DC will
see how it pans out. If he can go against like his instinct, because I'm worried like he's gonna read a script that's like for instance, like a serious take on Wonder Woman and be like, he just doesn't have enough humor in it. Like it doesn't have let's spruce it up with that's my worry of him, his taste. Because his taste is shown through his films. And when he's off the leash as well, specifically, I really did. To this day, I don't understand the love for this Suicide Squad movie.
Nerdman, help your brain process this stuff by realizing that in comic books, when there's a new writer that comes on replacing an old writer, they're not necessarily going to write the character the same way that the person did. Now they're not going to do a complete 180 and make them the complete opposite, but at least there will be different things that they do, whether they want to take them in a different direction, whether they want to like keep what the person before them did, they amplified it. But that's all this is. They're trying to straighten the ship out by putting him in charge. They saw the money he made for Marvel, and they're like, you know what? And this is kind of what happened with Justice League.
But he made that money because it was MCU. If MCU weren't on that Guardians of the Galaxy would not have made that kind of money, bro.
That's not true.
It's never even hit $1 billion.
That is not true.
You think Guardians of the Galaxy would have made at that point if it wasn't MCU?
At that point where Marvel was, yes, I do.
If MCU wasn't on, sorry, like. If it wasn't an MCU movie, you think Guardians of the Galaxy would have made like 800 million?
Oh, would have made it? Yeah, I don't know 800. I think it would have at least made 5.
Yeah,
I think it would have made. I think it would have been 450. It would have been 450 to 5.
A lot of those
promotion helps a lot. It helps a lot.
But a lot of those characters nobody knew. I mean, you might have the people on the internet that claim, like,
so people wouldn't have even been looking at it too tough if it wasn't for the fact that it was an MCU movie. That's the truth. I don't see any of his movies, his personal projects, that have made this much money. He isn't a big name. Like as a director in and of itself, he's known for Guardians of the Galaxy.
No, man, look at it like this for the first. I can see. Okay, this is just me thinking why I can see why he wants to write this first movie. Because mind you, David Zaslav is going to be looking at this. He's the boss. James Gunn has a 4-year contract. I think he's looking at this as, I really need to oversee this and make sure this goes good when he's writing this Superman movie. Now, he could have hired some other writer. I was kind of shocked that he said he's writing it. I would have probably, hoped he would get somebody else. But I can understand why he's sticking so close to this one for sure. Like, I want to be more hands-on with this because this first movie, and as you said, this movie has to be a little bit more than average. It can't just be something simple. It needs to be knock our socks off.
And also the guy doesn't write good villains.
It needs to be better than Man of Steel.
Yeah, it needs to be better than Man of Steel, and also he doesn't.
I think it will be.
He doesn't make good villains as well. You can't say he does wrote comics like in all of his films, and like Superman really, it's a lot like Batman in this sense. Like he's only as good as his villains. He really is.
Superman, I don't know about that. Superman.
I think the best runs of Superman have hinged on him coming up, because his morals are crystallized when up against, a villain that really opposes those values.
I'll mention why I brought up.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
I think you're
that's
wrong,
what I mean. I'm not saying
I'm
not saying he isn't a great character. I love, Superman, and I love like the values and all of that kind of stuff that he has. But it's not really crystallized unless he goes up against a significant villain that like really, challenges him to bring those values out.
But I'm concerned that for years now, DC, not the movies, the comic books, they've been pushing Batman. Okay, Superman's been the afterthought. He's been like the B. I mean, the top shelf and a half of my comics, they're all Batman books. Superman has maybe 2 or 3 titles, the most. And I mean, they're starting to do action. They're relaunching Action Comics, and they're doing Superman again. But they're starting to show him the respect that he deserves. But the problem is that when you compare, because this is what people always do, like, Marvel or DC, which do you like better, Batman or Superman? Everybody always says Batman. Because Superman, either they claim he's too OP or that he's just a Boy Scout, and they don't like that. They want someone who's like gonna murder. This is the culture that's been cultivated in DC Comics, and this is partly because
but then Mike,
it's New 52. It's New 52, and then Zack Snyder ran with that. So,
but then Mike, on that same hand, which is so weird, which you bring up, most of these people will go. And not say it's just marketing, like they might like Marvel too, They'll go to someone like Spider-Man and love that, but not like Superman, which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
They're not saying they're both the exact same,
Or
but
Captain
they
America.
both
Yeah.
have this, or Captain America. They literally both. They're very lighthearted characters with heart. They
Yeah.
They
And Captain
care
America
about
isn't
people.
like a joke a minute. He's like, he has his quips or whatever, but he's
They're
like
not
serious
these
character.
dark, depressing. They have their dark moments, but they're not these dark, depressing characters that live in misery like Batman. Not saying Batman is a miserable person, but
so why would they think Superman? I mean, okay, you could do that for Batman because like it's in the name. It's like Dark Knight. He's supposed to be dark. Why would you think that Superman needs to be that way too?
I think it's because people always been too focused on his power. Which, and mind you, he's the first like OG superhero that been super OP. I mean, he was sneezing and blowing up planets. I think they're so focused on his power that they get detached and can't relate. Because a lot of people like other character Batman because he's human, and he's just the everyday kind of the everyday person in the sense he's rich, but he's human. I think him specifically being human is what attaches people to Batman more. Because he's got no power standing amongst these people.
I mean, the critiques are just they're just silly. I mean, like
I think I agree. They're silly.
It was the same thing with Wonder Woman before the Wonder Woman 2017 movie came out. It's like the problem is we haven't had this generation Superman. We're still relying, in terms of the public. In terms of the public imagination, but movies are always more important than TV. But in terms of the public imagination, we're still relying, no matter what people want to say, on the image of Superman from Christopher Reeves. They're not thinking Cavill when they think Superman.
Not according to Twitter last week, because everybody felt that Henry Cavill is owed something because he got jerked around, and I don't disagree that I think The Rock kind of used him to hype up Black Adam to get more people in there. But like Henry Cavill made $500,000 doing 2 cameos, like 3 minutes of stuff. One's going to be seen. One was seen in Black Adam, and the other one isn't, allegedly not going to be seen. He's going to be okay. He's going to cry into his, $1,000 bills and stuff like that. So we don't have to worry about it.
No. But my point is, you have to present this generation with the Superman that that embodies what the Superman values are. And if they don't relate to that, then I'll be like, okay, well, Superman's just not relevant anymore.
But see, for a lot of them, it was Henry Cavill.
They haven't done that yet. They've never given that Superman a chance to have a new.
And even Henry Cavill said this is how Superman should be, and it was like the complete opposite of what Goyer and Nolan wrote in Man of Steel. It's like it wasn't there. Like when you have the actor understanding the character better than the writers, that's a problem.
Right.
Yeah. And this is the thing. This is the thing with Cavill, especially, and we always say this. People like how he looks as Superman. That was the first time we seen the biggest, buffest Superman ever. We finally saw a comic accurate Superman when it came to body. Like we finally saw it. We finally saw it. And people, and they did the same thing with Ben Affleck. They gas up how they look and not what their character is. And also you have this more serious, grounded, edgy look at it. And you have to look at the generation of today. A lot of people are a lot more, depressed.
But that's exactly why Superman's important.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why he's just important.
That's why he's important.
And I also believe people will accept it because while it didn't get a lot of traction, a lot of TV shows don't get that much traction as movies, but people did like Superman and Lois. It was getting good reviews. And Tyler Hoechling's Superman, mind you, he's not the modern Superman for movies, but he's a good modern Superman for TV. He's
sure, but you can't do the kind of things on TV. But yes, I liked him as well.
Wait. Have you watched Superman and Lois Lane?
Yeah. I like it. I like it a lot.
Okay, it does a really good job for where it is and what they're doing. Like if they can do something like that in the movies, but see, I don't know exactly how they would do that in 2 hours. Superman and Lois, they have the benefit of having, 13 episodes, 13 hours.
Well, I don't want to see Superman with a family and all of that bullshit. Living in Kansas. I want to see a young Superman in Metropolis trying to make his way, and I want them to focus on Clark Kent, because Clark Kent, in the end of the day, is for me the relatable character. That's what I related to in those Superman 78 movies. I related to Clark Kent, who's in love with Lois Lane, who just has no interest in him and only has interest in Superman. You know what I'm saying? That kind of, thing of, this average guy, right? Who is so much greater beneath and nobody knows. I think that is the relatable quality to Superman, to me personally. So I would focus on making sure that you build up a Clark Kent. It doesn't have to be as, I wouldn't even call Christopher Reeves corny, but he doesn't have to be amped up, in terms of the physical comedy of.
Have they said what's happening with Superman and Lois? Is there going to be
a season 3 is going to happen, but we know is after that it's done.
It's done.
It's definitely done after season 3. They're not continuing that. But it was already greenlit because most of the stuff. So I hopefully it comes out next year so it can just end that year. I hope it doesn't go into 2024. But since season 3 been greenlit and it's already in production, they're already filming.
Yeah, they
can't technically back out at this point, so they got to release it. More than likely, it will come out next year.
I don't know. You're DC Dots. You're talking about a company that scrapped the movie when it was 90% done, or a company that canceled the show when the first episode aired. I mean, come on, dude. And the episode happened to be good. I haven't watched the rest.
Are you talking about Stargirl?
No, Swamp Thing. They canceled it the day the first episode premiered.
Oh, Swamp Thing was good. I don't know why they canceled
that shit. It was too expensive to do, and then the taxes and stuff.
Dude, if Trump could pay no taxes for the year 2020, I'm sure they could figure a way around it. Try to get some taxes.
So you want them to do?
They should have pulled a Trump, man. They should have we're gonna find a way to finesse this, because Swamp Thing was a good show, and I think it deserved it.
No, it was a good show. It was genuinely good. I enjoyed it. I was never into Swamp Thing as a character, though, so I don't know if I would have continued
But dude, the optics of premiering the series, and then on the day the first episode drops, we're canceling it, and we would have known it was canceled if it wasn't for one of the actors.
Yeah, it was terrible.
But you have to show confidence in your product. Otherwise, people are going to be like, well, wait, you're canceling this? Why am I going to devote 13 hours to watching this series when I know it's not going anywhere?
But here's another thing I want to mention about James Gunn's approach, though, which worries me. I think if they're looking to make something tonally that is like Marvel, I'm looking at the Marvel numbers now, and what I'm seeing is a trend of the movie's box office is going down and down and down.
Well, let me talk about. Hold on, Nerdman. Let me explain this to a DC fan. The problem is that the main characters. Hold on.
Wait, Rogue. Wait. Let me just finish.
No. Because I want you to use this new information.
Alternative.
No.
Needs to be an alternative
Nerdman
to Marvel, and that will help both Marvel and DC. If they have a true alternative, tonally and whatever, to the kind of spirit of the films, but at the same time manage to make a coherent universe, I think that would be the best for DC and the best for Marvel, because that will give people options. Now,
and it doesn't have to do with the tone. It has to do with the content and what's happening. People don't seem to realize that the movies aren't comic books. Okay, all of the Avengers got aged out because they're not going to be that age for. And this is the other thing too. Marvel gets a lot of flack for not having quote unquote stakes about everything. They killed half of the Avengers, their main team. You can't have Robert Downey Jr. playing Iron Man forever. Chris Evans isn't going to be playing Captain America. And what they had to do is they had to introduce a bunch of brand new characters that people didn't necessarily feel were up to par with the previous ones, because the previous ones, when they were out, it's kind of like when Superman 78 came out. There was nothing like that around in the movie theaters. Okay, that was sight unseen. The what's the word? Like the first it was the first thing that it was the first comic book movie that was in the movie theaters. Okay, and people were unaccustomed to that. When Captain America, when Thor, when Iron Man dropped, that was a big risk, because at that point Robert Downey Jr., I mean, he was in prison, he was doing drugs, like all that stuff. That was a risk. They took that risk, and fans went along with that, and they got accustomed. It's almost like that kind of thing. Like when you know something and nobody else does, you appreciate it more. But then when it becomes popular, people, you're like, yeah, you know, it was good before when only I knew about it, and then it tried to get that wider audience. But what's happened now is all of the original characters for Marvel are gone. They're getting these new characters that people aren't necessarily warming up to, because they want the old characters, and they can't have those anymore. Like things have to progress.
You could reboot and like do.
But why would you? Why would this is?
But in any case, no. I'm not saying they should. I'm just saying that that would be an option to bring back Captain America. But here's the thing: I agree with you. I'm not saying that they shouldn't do new characters and they shouldn't do all of that kind of stuff. I think that makes sense. But my thing is, I think you will agree with me that at this point, MCU, as in the mind of the general audience, is comic book movies.
Mm-hmm.
DC isn't even like in the discussion anymore. They are comic book movies as far as the general audience are concerned, because DC has been too like Shazam here, the Batman here,
scattered. It's been too scattered.
Multiple Batman. Yeah, it's too scattered. They've made some good movies recently, but like it's too scattered. Okay.
Well, see, I think part of the thing too is like what Christopher Nolan said, where he only wanted, because on Smallville they were supposed to have Batman was supposed to show up, but then they're like, oh yeah, Christopher Nolan didn't want anybody to use Batman while he was making his Batman movies. And as miserable as those are and as bad as those are, I mean, he might have had a point there, because that was the only iteration of Batman that you saw. You didn't see like, Batman here, Batman confusing. There. Yeah, you want to do a Batman, like a cartoon for kids or whatever, that's fine, do that. But if you're doing like a main, for like, people like us, or maybe live action, then just do like one, because it's gonna be like, okay, so wait, because the
audience are too childish. They can't be like, oh, there's this Batman here, he's a good Batman, and then this is the Batman here, and he's also a good Batman. They're gonna be like, oh, this Batman's so much better, and that one's shit. And the only
it's tribes within tribes.
Ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's just completely ridiculous. It's like, just go out and support movies. Because we're in the luckiest time to be comic book movie fans. There's no generation that's been luckier than us.
We're not looking at any ethos.
And so
people getting upset with that. There was a Batman
destroying it. We are destroying it.
There was a Batman cartoon that they announced with the Batmobile that talked, and it was for kids. And people were like grown men were trashing the show. No, grown men were trashing the show, and I'm like, dude, like it's for kids.
I like cartoons, but that's
no, come on, dude.
That's like Sesame Street stuff,
dude. But you know what?
It gets the kids in that. There's an audience.
You need to cultivate a new audience, K-Dots. You can't have it like it can't just be for us. You need
no. I'm not saying it needs to be for us. What I'm saying
no. But I'm saying that's what these.
But I have no issue with it being out there for the kids and stuff, because they need some.
Exactly. It's like it's for the kids. You can't. That's what I'm saying. It's like even that Super Pets thing. I was like, I watched it and I was kind of like, it's okay. I didn't like what they did with the Justice League. I thought that was kind of stupid, actually. Like having them get beaten by like pets or whatever, like really easily. But in general, I enjoy
the tone of the
tone of the movie.
You're doing it. Like, don't do
that. No. I'm saying I liked the movie. I didn't think it was bad. I went to see it in cinemas. I actually went to see it. I because again, I support DC movies. That's it. Like even bad ones, The only reason I support them, the bad ones, is because I know if Flash is bad, right, and we don't go and see that movie, they
Are
will
they still
think
releasing that?
yeah, they're still releasing it. They will think that we don't like Flash and we're not interested in Flash movies. That's that's the takeaway.
But it leads, but it gives credence to what Viola Davis said when she said, like, you know, if you don't go see these movies, like regarding, like, you know, black women in lead roles or whatever, then you're part of the problem, because you can't sit there and complain, well, why don't they do more movies with black women in the leads if you're not going to support it? But then again, on the other hand, it's like, well, why should I have to go see a movie that might not be good just because I want to support that thing?
Yeah, like, but it's funny though, because like even the movies are good, and they're still not going to see them. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, that Viola Davis movie was fucking fantastic. It was actually really good. Now, really, who should have been to blame for that was the
YouTubers,
the trailer people.
Oh, why?
The trailer people should have never said based on a true story.
Oh.
Because it was not based on a true story. There's
her character didn't exist, but the surroundings did.
Oh no, the homie tribe and all of that kind of stuff with you know, all of that existed.
Right.
But it was much more complicated than that, because obviously they were part of the slave trade, right? Those Amazon women. But actually, if you African Amazons they used to call them, but if you actually see, they did end up fighting the French, the Dahomey tribe, and doing pretty well.
In the movie, or are you talking about in real life?
No, in real life.
Oh, okay.
And also, the movie.
Well, doesn't the movie address the whole slave thing?
Yeah, it does address the slave thing.
Okay.
So it's not like it doesn't address it. So it was actually just a really good fantasy version of what might have happened.
This is the age we live in right now, though. Anybody can turn on a camera and get on here and spout their nonsense, okay? People were trashing that film before they even seen it, just based on the trailer and the fact that there was a black woman who was in the lead, and that's ridiculous, okay? Because I've
seen a lot more people bashing it because they were saying, like, it wasn't accurate, but no movie that's based off history.
You mean like Braveheart? Like Braveheart or Pocahontas?
Those were accurate movies. King Richard came out. I like King Richard. I went to go watch a lot of interviews, and the interviews they literally copied into the movie. They're not even in the same location. It's a totally different location. They just say the same exact thing.
You know, unless you're watching a documentary, you really don't need like 100% accuracy. I mean, as long as you structure the story in a way that it makes sense. Yeah. Like, you know, you don't have like aliens come down and like, you know, have the African women do battle with the aliens or whatever. I mean, unless it's that type of movie, like it all depends on what the screenwriter is writing. Like, they didn't present this as a documentary, yet people were reacting, oh my God, this isn't like the way it was in real life. It's like, but it's not a National Geographic movie.
Yeah, right? Exactly. It's a fucking entertainment, dude. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Get over it. And Viola Davis is fantastic. And, you know, as Black people, we should be proud of her and like fucking support her. You know what I'm saying? She's one of the best actresses, if not the best actress right now in Hollywood.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like, she did a great film. And I don't understand why Black folks are turning against her. I really don't.
Like what happened with Wakanda Forever. Like, that was an entire, with the exception of Ross and the chick from Seinfeld, that was an entirely Black movie. Every actor was in that. Well, sorry, Namor. Every other actor that was in that movie, they were Black, and there were a lot of females that were in the lead too. Now, I understand how people are butthurt about, you know, them not recasting Chadwick or whatever, but like, you're not supporting a comic book movie which has predominantly Black actors in the leads. Like, even Ross was like a side thought where people were like, oh, you know what? You could have clipped his rollout and nothing would have been missed or whatever. And that's not necessarily a false statement. But I mean, you needed that stuff in to keep it tied into the MCU or whatever, you know, because otherwise it would just be a Wakanda movie or something. And then people might get a little more upset about it. But like, and then they're like, yeah, you know what? And lots of black YouTubers, I think, oh, I'm not going to support this. I'm not going to go see this. It's like, I understand why you're doing that as far as Chadwick's concerned, but like, this is something that's unprecedented where the lead, not like a side character like Ross or who is the other, or Rhodey, like, you know, it's the lead character who passed away in real life that they have to find another replacement.
I'll say this about the Black Panther thing. I agree that they should have recast, because I always believe the superhero is more important than
you're wrong. You're wrong.
The superhero is more important to me than the actor, and I know he died tragically, and it's, you know, all of that. It's terrible, but to me, they should have recast, because there's so few black male superheroes, and I think that's kind of needed. That being said, I think people have taken it that too far, and they didn't give the movie a chance because of that. And
well, they also didn't like what happened with the conclusion. It's like there's this sense of entitlement that fans on both sides, comic DC and Marvel, whatever comic, they have to these movies, and if it doesn't go their way, then they're going to get on YouTube and rant about it.
Or I'm not too worried about the MCU, because like, in the end of the day, like, that kind of protest, that protest, it is toxic. It is toxic.
That shouldn't
but
exist.
that protest, you know, against not recasting Black Panther, I think is better served, because in the end of the day, it's an MCU movie. It's going to make 800, 700 million, something like that. It's still going to be profitable. They're still going to move forward with future Black Panther projects. Whereas the Woman King, that is not something that you're going to get again if it fails. You know what I mean?
Explain like, Tyler Perry then, because Tyler Perry has a freaking studio in Georgia.
Oh, yeah, just explain. All you have to say is explain Tyler Perry. By the way, LB, hello, dude. How are you doing, bro?
Tyler Perry is a whole different beat. Look, I don't know how Tyler Perry was able. Look, this is the thing. Tyler Perry was able, and mind you, this is not when superhero movies was around. This is when there was just drama movies and other stuff. Like, this super movies wasn't even popular yet. Tyler Perry saw an opportunity. He saw the early 2000s and said, wow, drama movies, put them out there. And he knew he would get black grandmas, black moms, aunties coming to watch his Tyler Perry movies and his plays. Tyler Perry's smart. If he tried to do this stuff now, today, his movies wouldn't survive. He did it. He picked the right time to do those movies and stuff.
There was a vacuum. There was a void. These things didn't exist. So he said, "You know what? I'm going to fill it."
Well, if they were profitable, then I don't understand why
it wasn't really profitable. They lived. I mean, you know, they survived. I wouldn't say they were
profitable because they were cheap to make, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, good afternoon. My mic was off. Good afternoon, everyone.
No. What did you come on to? Like,
man, I when y'all started talking about the Woman King, because I've actually, like, yesterday was probably the first time I've spoken to people on the panel side of it.
Maybe
I've made videos and talked about it on my own, but like, I'm with Mike on this, and it's just crazy, like, the lengths people go to discredit things, and you know, they have things stuck in their mind, and they're not even open to listening or even having a different opinion. It's like, like Mike said, people didn't even go see the movie, and they're trashing the Woman King, and then people who did go see the movie, they're letting them know, like, all the things you're talking about, it was addressed in the movie. No. It's just like, is this what we're going to do with every single movie that you have an agenda against?
I'll tell you this, LP. I do think this is the one thing, only criticism I have of the movie and its marketing campaign. That trailer was stupid. When it said based on a true story, because it could have easily been defended, like, completely, 100%. Like, because you could have just said, well, she think fucking what was it, the Scottish movie?
No, just say based on real life events.
Well,
what
that's
was
what the
it
trailer
called?
said. The trailer said based on true events. It didn't say based on true story.
Powerful true events.
Yeah.
That's what it said.
Yeah.
That the powerful even made it worse, because it's like, wait a second, these women actually were part of the slave trade. So,
but Nerdman, that's part of the problem. These people.
But Rogue. What was the movie you said? The Scottish movie, bloody hell, Braveheart.
Braveheart.
You know what I'm saying? That's not historical fact.
Yeah.
None of those historical movies are historical fact. They're just,
But see, going off what you said, I don't know if
in history.
I don't know if it said based on real life or based on a true story or whatever. But listen. What bothers me about the way people are today is that people don't like LB said, and he agreed with what I said, that these people, they make up their minds without seeing one frame of footage. Like I would really like Chillmonger to go see Wakanda Forever and see what he thinks about it. He did.
He watched it, but he perfectly said, I was going in to trash the movie. Like, and I'm just like, why?
Yeah. Trash it after you watch it. Go in with no conceptions of what this is going to be, and let them see if Ryan Coogler could change your mind and say, okay, well, I still want Chadwick recasted or whatever, but they worked with what they had and they accomplished something.
I thought it was kind of boring, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie, like I didn't love it.
I mean, that's fine, right? Like, it's fine for you to think it's boring, but if you're going to watch a movie to purposely have the same opinion on it, like, what's even the point?
Oh no, I will always go in like open-minded to a movie.
That's as everyone should.
But I think it's important to have a black superhero out there. That's why I support Black Panther. I mean, like a black male superhero specifically, but I think there should be black female ones, but a black male one is very important.
Right. But like,
and so my thing was, though, that I just didn't think those movies were that good. I don't think Black Panther is as good as everyone makes out, and I didn't really love the second one. I thought the trailer was amazing, but like the actual film, it was so.
K-Dot.
But by what you said, Nerdman, you would go see it to support it because it has the ideals or the what you're looking for, which are more movie starring, black male leads or black female leads, like in the comic book genre or something like that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, even like Wakanda Forever solved that problem about having a black male superhero lead, and people still like, no, not my T'Challa.
I don't want that shit.
Wait, how did it do that? Wait.
Did you see the post? Did you see the post credit?
When did
you ain't see the post
credit with the son is supposed to take over from T'Challa?
Yeah, because it's a mantle.
That's what I'm
assuming. Some bullshit, bro. Come on, man.
Wow. I mean, bullshit. Hey.
Oh yeah, Bruce Wayne's son is going to take over. Get out of here. I want Batman.
I mean, that's a whole different scenario, though. Like, this is this is unprecedented.
Scenario.
But
see,
I still got my I got Monica Rambeau. I got my Monica shit.
K-Dot, was you in the chat last night when we was talking about the Woman King?
Yeah.
Okay, so
I didn't say for the, but I was there.
So you was hearing what I'm saying. Like, I'm explaining, right? The things you're complaining about, they address in the movie. The next excuse, well, the director was white. No, she wasn't.
No,
the writer was white.
Before that, Perp brought up, I think it was the Emancipation movie. He was talking about the Emancipation.
No, I brought up the Woman King because I said I forgot about one of my favorite movies of the year.
Gotcha.
Yeah. What panel was this? I want to watch this stream now. Was it on your channel?
The Perp Show Awards. I'll link it to you.
Oh yeah, no, I want to watch that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but like, I mean, people just
they're wiling out, bro.
Yeah,
they're wiling out these days. I don't know what. And the worst thing is, like, now people are only watching movies that, align with their own
echo chamber
ideological beliefs or something like that. They're not even challenging themselves to like.
My thing is, My thing is, I'm not telling every black person you need to go see every single black movie and watch every black movie, because I don't do that. That would be completely hypocritical. But it's like, don't go out of your way to trash black movies. It's not helpful.
Yeah, I know. And look, if they had have gone on like these women were like completely innocent in the movie, and they were just these like badass warriors against like white colonialists, I would have been like, yeah, I can see what people are saying, but that is just not what happened at all.
Right.
It just didn't happen like that.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
And in the end of the day, the Dahomey women did. I think it was the French, if I'm correct. They fought the French, and that's where they got their big. They got this big reputation for being so fierce as warriors, because they did a quite good job when they were fighting the French. In the end, it wasn't in the beginning. In the beginning, they were doing business with like the colonial powers, right? And then after something, I don't know the exact historical content of it, but like after something happened, and they ended up fighting the French. So again, you know, it's like.
But the movie wasn't. The movie wasn't billing itself as a documentary,
right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
and people were acting as if it did, or if it was supposed to be.
Yeah,
it's not.
And that's what I wanted to say. The only time film needs to be 100% accurate, like everything needs to be accurate to the T. Nothing cannot be wrong. Is documentary. It has to be 100% fact. It can't be nothing false. If it is fact, the documentary is.
And
that's
even
why
then,
the trailer shouldn't have said based on powerful true events, and that is not the filmmaker's fault.
A lot of
movies
movies say that, but they shouldn't be taking this film, because a lot of movies say based on true events. I mean, the King Richard didn't say it, but it's based on true. Well, it's based on true events.
I mean, I agree with Nerdman on that, because a lot of people don't realize that these movies based on the true story ain't 100% accurate.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, if you want a historically factual thing, go watch a documentary, which all the time ain't 100% accurate anyway.
Well, and also people take that based on, because there's two ways you can even look at that. When it says based on a true story, it can literally be a story that has none, that is just totally fictional, but it's literally based off this thing over here. It's kind of like a recreation, but it's based on something. You know, that's when there's some based on true story movies that are like that. People take it too literal.
And I mean, it was sad, bro, because like, I remember I didn't even hear about this movie until like people started making a bunch of outrage about it. So I was like, man, let me go see this movie for myself. So that made me go see it. But this is like, man, people, you gotta stop buying into this fake outrage, bro. Like this stuff is coming from bad actors out there.
Yeah, it's coming for everything now. Like everything is woke. Everything is supposed to. And you know, I'm not saying I really had time for that argument like before, but there was some of it I kind of was like, yeah, you know, I see a little bit of what they're saying, blah blah blah. But now it's so ridiculous. The one thing I saw it with was like with things like Batwoman and Captain Marvel. You know, like I saw it with that, but now I don't care anymore, bro. I honestly want every hero to be a transsexual, disabled, fucking, you know, Arab. You know what I'm saying? Like a gay person. Because I literally want them to make every movie like that, just to stick it down these people's throats. I fucking can't stand them. They are just ruining people who work hard on this artistry because they're not as creative, because they can't do these things themselves. They're not capable of that. They don't have the mindset or the discipline.
See, and I'm not going to
do those things. So they get angry. They're jealous. That's what it comes down to. They're jealous of these fucking people who are making these movies.
Well, Nerdman, though, you have to admit, though, there are times where studios are lazy and they're like, you know what, we need a black audience, so let's put a black person there. We need a gay audience, so let's put I agree.
And I agree. And before I would have had time for that argument, because I don't like when you just have a token character in
there. Yeah.
But now I'm just like, fuck it. because they've made it impossible for me to have any kind of nuance in that argument. Because you know, if you give them an inch, just a little inch, they'll fucking take it 3,000,000 miles.
Well,
Yeah.
it's all about getting clicks and being performative and stuff like that, and the thing that bothers me is that stuff there are like you might look at somebody's numbers, oh, well, 50,000 people saw it, but that's 50,000 people that actually went to go seek this shit out, and they're sitting there and they're watching this and they're oh yeah, what, this guy's got a point, like, yeah, the man's doing this, like, we should fight back and stuff like that and not go see it, and that way it'll trash and burn it to the ground, and it's ridiculous.
And just to throw something in there, just real quick, as we were saying, as you guys was talking about this, I just thought about this. You can't we can't put too much. We got to be 50-50 with these people, because I remember when this happened. This was a glorious day. They thought Julia Roberts could play Harriet Tubman.
Bruh, when I saw that, I was dying from laughter, bruh.
I can't believe this was real. This blew my mind. I was like, this has to be a joke. This cannot be real. No person would be this slow. I mean, I understand Hollywood executives, they like, for example,
I'm still in shock. I'm just, you didn't see my reaction to that. I was just blinking at the screen.
I remember.
Am I seeing what I'm seeing?
And I remember with Man of Steel, it was revealed that some of the executives didn't know that Superman freaking his planet gets destroyed and he goes to Earth. Like, they just thought he was born on Earth or whatever. But I was like, dang, I didn't.
But that just illustrates how much more they're concerned with the money than they are the content.
With the content in general. But that right there, that's even worse. Julia Roberts.
Yo, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, everybody knows it should have been Cardi B, but
no. I thought about it. No. What's up, Anzo? We can hear you.
You can hear me? What's up, guys? How you doing?
I wish I couldn't.
Shut up, man. Yeah, I can't stay long. I'm at work, but I just wanted to say you guys are on point. LB is on point. I seen The Woman King, and I heard all of the talk that people were like, oh, it's not accurate and this and that, but they addressed it in the movie, right? A lot of people had an issue with the fact that it was called The Woman King and not like The Woman Queen, you know what I mean? But they also addressed that in the movie as well.
Yeah, as well.
My problem is,
oh, really?
Black men and black women or whatever, we sitting there talking about how, oh, these movies aren't like what we want them to be, so let's boycott them. But when we do that, we take away from the industry wanting to make movies for us. Back in the 90s, right? And the 80s, when you guys go look at those movies, we had like 16 movies a year. You had Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, New Jersey Drive, and all these movies came out in theaters. You go look now, last year, there was 6 black movies that came out in theaters, right? This is because people stopped seeing them. And if you watch a documentary on Netflix, it's called Is It Black Enough for You? They pretty much explain that all those blaxploitation movies that used to come out were independently made because Hollywood would not invest the money in them because they didn't think they were profitable. When they found out they were profitable, that's when they started doing it. So if we're not careful, we're not going to see these type of movies, and they're going to only get the race bend, and you're only going to get that stuff that people are already hating because they know that it'll at least, you put a black person superhero movie, it's a superhero movie, they're going to make money. But if we keep doing what we're doing, we're not going to get those original movies. Viola Davis was 100% right when she said, if you don't go see this movie, that you're probably not going to get anything like it again. She's 100% right.
But the thing that sucks about that, though, is you shouldn't have to feel what's the word, required to go see it. They should be making these movies, period. As long as the movie's good and there's some sort of a studio exec sees it, it should be good. I understand that.
I'm sorry, it's a business. I agree. In a perfect world, you should just make good things just
Right.
for the sake of making good things.
Hollywood
But
needs
like
to make
that,
rich.
we ain't living in that perfect world.
But see, whose
It's a
idea?
fucking business.
But whose idea is what's good and what isn't? Because there could be a movie like, say, like I'm gonna Rocky Horror Picture Show. I could watch that and be like, yeah, that's a good movie, and Kate has to watch it, and be like, oh, that's trash or whatever. Like, but it's intentionally supposed to be like trashy. It's not supposed to be super serious or something like that. Like, there's movies we all got where, like, we might say, yeah, it's a bad movie, but I like it. So who's going to be the arbiter of what's good and what isn't?
And I agree with you too, Mike, right? And I agree with you, LB. Like, I'll say this, I'll never tell a black man that he has to go see a movie because it's black. But if you're pushing that, right? If you're the type of person that says, yeah, I want to see these type of characters, I want to see strong black people on movies, but then you want to boycott one when it comes out, that's where I have the issue.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
mean,
you're sitting there saying, yeah, I want this, I want that. We need black power, we need black this. And then when you get something, you're like, oh, ban it. Don't go see it, guys. Like, what?
Especially if you have an audience.
Right.
Especially if you have an audience, yeah.
That Woman King nonsense by, like, especially these black YouTubers was so short-sighted, man. Because they hopped on this thing, started running their mouth, and the bigger YouTubers, the ones that usually do this stuff, they're like, oh, okay, now we got something we could trash for the next month.
It's trending, yeah. What's the trend?
I watched Till, right? That movie pretty much brought me to tears by the end of that movie, right? And when you watch that movie, it's relevant to the stuff that we see today, right? Those white guys got off. Not only did they get off, when they went to court, they villainized the mom. It's the same thing that happens nowadays when a cop murders one of us, right? So it's relevant. That movie only made $8 million in the box office. That is a disgrace.
Yeah, Whoopi Goldberg, I think, said it took like 8 or 9 years to make that movie.
That was a disgrace.
How is that it's like, it's not like a superhero fest, like, where there's CG and all that stuff. Like, this should have been made like, in one summer or something. Like, it shouldn't take that long. But
they probably didn't want to put it out though, Mike. You know what I mean? And now, but you know what? That it didn't make money, you're not gonna get that again.
If Julia Roberts was writing it or something, or had something, this is why, like, when people say, like, like, for instance, with Scarlett Johansson, when she was going to play that trans person or whatever, they were going to make that trans movie, and she's not trans, she doesn't know. It's like, first of all, it's acting, like, people,
right?
Like,
that shit was so,
it's not real,
that was nonsense.
But once they trashed it, and there was that controversy, the movie didn't get made because you don't have someone who is like a known actor or whatever bringing it there.
But see, Mike, even with that, and I don't know what, obviously the person's probably going to be a man transitioning to a woman. I mean, what's the problem having Scarlett Johansson if the character's going to be a man transitioning into a woman? She's a woman playing a role. I mean, what's the problem? It's acting shit. When you transition, you got to turn into a man or a woman. Anybody could do that.
Yeah, but that's where the representation comes in, right? Because people are like, oh, well, you can't, like, they even tried to say, like, you can't have a white voice actor doing a black character in a cartoon, and I'm like, that's just dumb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's dumb. I don't agree with that.
It's black voice.
Well, I don't know. Anyway, guys, apparently I have to go, but
so do I.
With you. And
Christmas shopping with Miss Nerdman.
With Miss
I'm gonna be watching, but thanks for having me, Kata. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thanks.
Thanks for jumping on over, Gonzo.
Bye.
And then it was down to 3. Well, LB, since you're here, and you guys can kind of give your opinions on this since you're here, and this was the main topic of discussion. How do you guys feel about the most recent tweet from Ray Fisher against James Gunn? How do you guys feel about it? What's your opinion? I don't know your opinions on it.
Well, and I know in Twitter you have, like, you could put words in there that filter out tweets so you don't get to see them. Like, I know when Doctor Strange came out, I just, like, any character in Marvel, I just put them on there because I didn't want anything spoiled. But I have the word diva on that list, so I don't see any of Ray Fisher's tweets. So I don't know exactly what he said about James Gunn in this latest wave.
Oh, let me show you. It was totally unwarranted stuff. I'll just show you real quick so you could give your opinion on it. It's just one tweet, nothing, not multiple threads or whatever. But basically, Ray Fisher took issue with James Gunn taking down a tweet that he posted years ago. Well, not years ago, literally January of 2022. He posted an apology because James Gunn liked a tweet, which was in relation to Joss Whedon. He got butthurt. Ray Fisher accepted the apology, and this was the tweet that you just seen here that got pulled. Now, James Gunn has told everybody, and it's right here, that he his tweets auto delete. So his tweets auto delete. Yeah, I don't know how you do it, but you can. Yeah. Your tweets auto delete, and we know why. I mean, he got fired from Marvel Studios because of old tweets. Yeah. So it makes sense.
Wait, so he got the apology. He accepted the apology. What difference does it make whether the apology is on Twitter or not?
He wants to make it, like I say, wants to make it a spectacle. Wants to put on public display, because he could have easily asked. He could have talked to James Gunn personally,
privately,
and said, "Hey, blah blah blah," and Ray Fisher just made himself look like a fool. But I say he's just mad. He's not Cyborg anymore. He's lashing out. He really doesn't have nothing else aside from the stuff he's doing with Zack Snyder.
Trying to be relevant. Yeah. That's a drama.
I just looked up Ray Fisher's age because I thought he was in like his early 20s, like in the 20s range. He's 35. It's like, man.
He was playing a high schooler in Justice League.
But see, he's following the Zack Snyder book of finessing. That's what he's doing. And they've built these little tribes where, I mean, if you are on Twitter and you read this, you would think that the Snyder bros are like, a huge, like there's so many people there, because they seem to have nothing better to do than to get on Twitter and complain about restoring the Snyderverse. And it's not that big. And I don't know. I felt bad for Henry because, like, I mean, he seems to know what Superman should be, and he wasn't given the opportunity to be that Superman. But it's like, you gotta, if you're starting something new, which is clearly what DC wants to do, you got to cut it off. You can't have these stragglers. You can't have, Gal playing Wonder Woman, but we're going to reboot everything else. You can't do that unless you come up with some multiversal thing. But even then, you're still giving these people hope, because it pivoted. The beginning of the pandemic was release the Snyder Cut. And they got the Snyder Cut. And then they were like, we just want the Snyder Cut. That's all. We want to see what his original vision was for the movie. So then they gave it to him because they had no other content, and they were launching their streaming service. And then once that came out, then they pivoted, and it's like, restore the Snyderverse. We want to see, because there was someone did a graphic where it showed, let me see if I can find it here. It showed what they wanted the slate to be. Yeah, here we go. The DCEU slate. This is what somebody posted. 2024, Wonder Woman 3 and Ben Affleck's Batman. 2025, Man of Steel 2 and Zack Snyder's Justice League 2. 2026, Zack Snyder's Justice League 3 finale. And then they had a line that said reboot, a red line that says reboot, and then it says 2027, do whatever the F you want. Like, this is their list of demands right here. Like, I've never seen something where someone could get somewhere and demand something from a studio. Like, the level of entitlement these days is like ridiculous.
And that's why
this is where we are.
And just to get ready to close it up soon, I want LB's opinion too on it. The original universe that was set to be created, and Zach already spoiled this. At the end of it, at Zack Snyder Justice League 3, what was going to happen regardless at the end of his Justice League 3, he was literally going to Flashpoint and soft rebooted, which was going to basically make his universe mean nothing, because he was going to allow other people to continue off this new rebooted universe where Batman's gone. Clark Kent's son is Batman. A whole bunch of stupid shit. I was like, what's the point if you're gonna reboot it and you start and reboot it like halfway through? That's so stupid.
He was leading into Flashpoint.
Yes, he would plan to reboot after Justice League 3, so he can let people have the opportunity to do what they want. But I was like, if you built a proper universe, you can still do what you want, and other people can do what they want. If you started from the top, he wanted to have it to where it reboots, and Batman sacrifices himself or whatever, and Clark Kent and Lois, and this is Lois after Batman had sex with her. Superman takes care of his baby, and that baby grows up to be Batman.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
I mean that, yeah.
That sounds
too much. That's too much, bro.
Yeah, it's Thank you, James Gunn. Thank you, James. That's all I can say.
I've never seen a director like be attached to creations that weren't his own. Like I've never, you get a job like, and this is the thing that bugged me. Like there was a book that DC put out called Secret Six, and that's probably one of the best books they've ever put out. It basically it had like it had Deadshot before he was cool, Catman, Bane was in there towards the end, Ragdoll. Like it was off the wall, and it was really good. Gail Simone was writing it. So they canceled it when they did the New 52. They canceled it because, they were phasing into the New 52. So I made an ass of myself because they used to have these things called retailer road shows. And what they were it was Dan DiDio, Jim Lee, and Jeff Johns occasionally. They would go there and they would have all the retailers from that area come there. And they would do like these PowerPoint presentations showing what, DC had planned. So the one they did in New York, I went to, and I liked Secret Six so much because I was trying to find out. There used to be a DC rep that would call me every week and say, hey, you need anything for your store? And I'd be like, well, I need posters. They're like, oh, well, we can't do that. But there's a new Sandman collection coming out. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I can read the catalog. I know what I'm doing. But I asked him for one leading into that summer. I said, I need to know two things. Are you going to make Barbara Gordon Batgirl again? Because at that point she was Oracle. She got shot by Joker and she was crippled. And then in 2, are you going to cancel Secret Six? And he would never answer the question. And then I found out the day before the retailer roadshow was going to happen that they were canceling Secret Six. So I got an iron-on transfer of the Secret Six logo, and I put it on a t-shirt, and I wore that t-shirt to the event. And they were doing their little PowerPoint presentation talking about Grant Morrison writing Superman and all this other stuff. And then they had a Q&A section. So I stood up and I asked them, I said, are you guys going to be doing Secret Six? And Dan DiDio answered, and he's like, no, at the plans, we have 52 books that we're doing, and we're going to give those characters a chance. And, and then maybe we'll do something like that. I'm like, oh, because that's surprising, because on the New York Times bestseller list for that week, Secret Six was #1 in the trade paperbacks. And I brought that fact up to him, and he's like, oh, I knew somebody was going to say that. And I'm like, well, I brought it up because that's a fact. It's not my feeling. Like, that's not an opinion. I mean, I could sit here and say the book is good, but when it's #1 on the New York Times bestseller list, that means that other people feel the same way that I do. And then we started going back and forth, and Jim Lee finally stepped in, and he's like, whoa, he's like, no, he's like, there's a chance that this could happen, but in the future sometime, just let it play out, and we'll see what happens. So as I was leaving, I'm like, you know what? Maybe Gail Simone was done writing, because these people, these creative people, whether it's the intent or not, sometimes they have to disconnect themselves from the character or from the screenwriting that they're doing. Like the chick that plays one of the characters in Walking Dead that recently ended. She said that she felt the character needed to die because she wasn't going to play that character again. And that was the only way she could disconnect herself from that. So I understand the audacity of these people thinking that there's some sort of entitlement or ownership of these characters because they're doing them. But Zack Snyder has taken it to a next level. Like, I mean, he's done other movies where he's directed stuff, and Army of the Dead too. Like, why don't you create your own universe? Like, why do you continue to want to do these characters, like clearly, and it did suck the way all of that happened back in 2015, 2016, but they clearly don't want you anymore. Like, why do you keep doing this? Like, you have your tribe now. You can do your own thing and people will go see it because your name is on there. What is it about these characters that, like, I just don't understand that.
I think this is what I think. And not everybody who does this who adapts anybody, you know, another person's work. But I feel okay. Superman was created by Joe and Jerry, right? It's created by both of them.
Siegel and Schuster, yeah.
They passed away. Mike J passed away. Now Warner Brothers, you know, DC, they have full rights over the character, and the family still has royalties over Superman and stuff. You know,
they had to fight for those though too.
But at the end of the day, no one should feel this entitled over Superman. They're not alive, but the people who made him, the people who made the character, people who brought this character to life. For example, if Mike made a sci-fi movie today, sure, some other studio may buy it or whatever, and Mike lose rights. At the end of the day, that's Mike's creation. Nobody should feel like they have more right to it than Mike. You know, yes, they bought it, but still, you created that. No one should feel like they have more control or right to it than the person who actually made it. Because all these other people are doing, they're just adapting it. Not saying what they're doing isn't original, but you're literally taking somebody else's work and you're just slightly tweaking it. That's all it is. And that's what I say. If Zack Snyder made something original and somebody else took his work and twisted it, I totally understand. You feel like you feel some type of way, but you are taking somebody else's work that's not yours, and you're just slightly tweaking it and trying to pass it like, oh, this, like, dude, yes, you changed it up enough to where it's kind of different, but it's not yours. You know, I can draw a picture and slightly change it all I want. Still not my creation. It's not the original creation. All I did was take somebody else's work and slightly tweaked it.
It's clear he's not a one-trick pony. Like, dude, you can do other things. You signed a deal with Netflix. Like, do a Snyderverse. Set up a Snyderverse and populate it with, you know, all the things that you want in there. Like, what is it about this? Like,
that's why I rather like Rebel Moon. There's no books on it. This is his like original project he's doing. Because before, he was just taking everybody else's stuff and adapting it.
Yeah.
That's all he was doing. Now he's fine doing something original. Hopefully this, just jumps off for him and it ends up being something good. But a lot of these creators.
Well, but do you think he's afraid? He's afraid that if he's not doing something that someone else's, that they might not, because like Sucker Punch, which I did like. I mean, it was, the trailer set up exactly what it was going to be, and it did deliver that. But like that didn't make hardly any money. Like he did 300, which was a comic book, and that made money. He did Watchmen, which was a comic book, and it made a little bit of money. But I mean, it's like he's looking at this. He's like, you know what? If I don't do something that's already been established, maybe I'm not going to get the publicity that I want. I don't know how Army of the Dead did.
Maybe secretly he believes, dang, I'm not as good as as people gas me up to be. Because when you do something original, it kind of shows who you are. It shows you what you can do. It's going to show something. I can take Superman and slightly tweak it, and it might come out good, might come out bad, but I'm going off of something that's already been set in stone. I'm just making slight changes to it, and it can possibly be good. But hey, maybe that might be the reason. He might expose himself for not being a creative he thinks he is. Not saying he's not, but when you got to make something original, that's all eyes are on you. But this is the perks of making something original. This is why I don't know why creators don't do this instead, because then nobody can tell you what the hell to do. When you make something original, nobody can tell you how it should go, how it should be this, that. It's all original. Nobody can tell you what to do. It's your original creation.
I was talking about with a customer yesterday how like how if you create something, how could you not like want to look after it or whatever? Because he's like, oh yeah, like Seth MacFarlane. Apparently, he doesn't write Family Guy or any. He just like comes in, does the voice, and that's it. And I'm like, how could he like, as the creator of this show of these characters, how could he just like let other people like do whatever it is that they want with them? Like, isn't there some sort of a, it's like having a kid. You want, when you have a child, you want to make sure that they're protected. You want to have all the,
Right.
you want to do something that Jonathan Kent didn't do in Man of Steel, where you impart, your morals and your ethics to him, and stuff like that. But like, I don't know how in this day and age how people could feel okay with letting people like would Tyler Perry be okay with having someone else do Medea, like Zack Snyder or something like that? Like, you have to have some sort of there has to be some sort of pride in what you create,
Hey, Tyler Perry is gonna look when Tyler Perry disappears. He's gonna make sure everything Medea is just going to like delete itself. It's gonna when he goes, it's gonna go. It's just gonna magically disappear. He got bombs set, ready to go. He's destroying every Medea product that existed. So when it happens, guys, y'all better run. He's taking it with him to the grave. LB, did you want to give any thoughts on this? Because I did want to get ready to wind this up. We are at about 2 hours and 19 minutes.
No, man, I'm in agreement with what y'all saying on this topic. So I'm not gonna stretch it out too much longer.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike, for coming on. Thank you, LB, for coming on.
Thank you.
Shouts out to everybody in the chat. I wish Nerdman ranted and went off on Ray Fisher, but he was super chill and he had days to think about it. So you guys got what you got. Definitely check this out on the playback. Movie reaction to The Green Mile is coming this weekend. Be on the lookout for it, guys. I'm gonna try and get it out to you for the holidays. It'll be a gift from me to you. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be streaming again these next couple of days, but if I don't, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's. Deuces.